Hi guys, it's been a while, but I didn't have content until now, and I didn't want to make a rushed or sloppy video. I wanted to put more thought and effort into this one so I can continue improving on the YouTube platform. Just as a fair warning, my air conditioner is out, and it is almost 100 degrees where I live, so if you can hear a hum in the background, that might be one of the many fans that we have going in an attempt to cool the apartment. Also, my cat is being real obnoxious because I'm sitting in the room he normally plays in, and so now he thinks it's playtime. So if you hear any whining from him in the background, that's why, and I apologize, but we need to get this recording done. So I mentioned in my last video that Pokemon is a really big part of my life. It's not the very first video game I've ever played. My video game personal history actually starts with Duck Hunt on the Nintendo, the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the first one. I would like to brag that I come from a long line of super nerds in my family. So my first video game experience was actually the Nintendo that my dad bought before I was born, and so I grew up playing games like Duck Hunt and Metroid and Mario Brothers, things like that. When I was in about the second or third grade, I had a friend in the neighborhood who had Pokemon Red, and he let me try it out, and I sat in my backyard with him and tried it out for like an hour straight. Really cool guy. I didn't save my file because he still wanted to keep his file, but that gave me the first real taste of Pokemon, and after that I was hooked. So I saved up my allowance, like $5 a week at a time, until I had enough money to go out and buy a Game Boy Color and a Pokemon Red version. So that was the real first big purchase I ever made with my allowance that I saved up for and bought. And at 7 and 8 years old, $100 and some is actually quite a lot of money to save up, and it's kind of impressive. I go little me. Yeah, so even though it wasn't my first game, Pokemon is the first game I've ever finished. I still to this day have never finished Legend of Zelda or any of the Mario NES games or Metroid or anything like that. I'd love to be able to get into those franchises, actually, like Zelda and Sonic and things like that, but we can talk about that another time. So my first Pokemon game was Red, and then I eventually bought Blue because I, at the time, thought that they would have two different storylines to explore. My mistake. I was 8. It's forgivable. It really is. But it ended up being a blessing, because later on I ended up buying a trading cable, and I would borrow a friend's Game Boy to trade back and forth so I could finish off the Pokédex. Since I had both games. Now, that brings up the discussion, why wouldn't I just trade with a buddy or a friend? Well, when I was younger, I was extremely gullible. And the kids in the neighborhood figured it out. And so what they would do is they would tell me that they were going to do a trade, and they'd be like, oh yeah, just trade me your Venusaur for my Weedle this time, and I'll trade you for the one you really want in the next trade. And then I would do the Venusaur trade, and then they would skedaddle and be like, nah, I'm not doing any more trades, I have to go home. It's like, oh, gee, thanks. So, my solution was to just trade with myself and finish the Pokédex that way, and looking back, it's really ridiculous. But at the time, I was super trusting. I believed everyone was as honest as I was, and it just didn't work out. And it also gave me the benefit of being able to trade myself all the starters. So I could play my games with Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur, and I could be just like Ash. Which I know Ash is the worst Pokemon trainer of all time, but at the time, it was still season 1 of the anime. Excuse me. It was still a time when Ash was cool, and, it was kind of cool to go through the game with all 3 starters. And, I was 8. It's okay. He could be cool to me at the time when I was 8. It's fine. By the time that Gold and Silver came out, I got the message. I knew it wasn't going to be different stories, so I only bought one. I bought Silver, and then I convinced my younger sister to save up her allowance, and she bought Gold so we could trade. And I felt secure that I was going to be able to finish the Pokédex and have a great time. But then Crystal version came out, and that was the first game you could play as a female character. So I bought it. Yeah, the story is a tiny bit different from Silver and Gold, but we gotta be honest here, that's not why I bought it when I was 10. I wanted to play as a female character, and I thought it was so cool. And I thought she was really cute with her little pigtails, so, if we're being honest, there you go, I wanted to play a female character. After that was Gen 3, and that had Ruby and Sapphire, and the Red and Green remakes. I don't remember if I bought Ruby and Sapphire. I think I bought Emerald, because at that time, I think I had both of my younger sisters playing Pokemon at that time, and so they got Ruby and Sapphire, and I was having a hard time deciding which one I was gonna pick to overlap with. And then Emerald came out, I think, and that's the one I bought. I definitely bought Fire Red, though, because I loved the original Red so much, and I really love playing through with the updated graphics. I'm actually playing through it right now on one of my other channels as a Nuzlocke. I'll link it down in the description for anybody who's interested in watching that, but it's going really poorly. I don't update that very often. I think it's been a couple months. But anyways, I don't remember much about 3rd generation, because at that point, I was starting to get burned out on the franchise. And anyways, and that brings us to 4th gen, which is my least favorite generation of Pokemon. Now, I know for a lot of you Gen Z kids that this was your first Pokemon game, and it holds a very special place in your heart, and I understand that, because Kanto holds a very special place in my heart. So I understand if it's your favorite game, I'm not judging. However, I don't like it. And let me explain why. I tried to like it. I love Pokemon. At the time it came out, I was starting high school and beginning to learn that the internet could be used for more than just like Neopets and homework, which is a whole nother story. We can talk about Neopets in another video. And this is when I discovered Rourke and Volkner fan art. So I wanted to love this game. But it wasn't any fun for me. Professor Rowan was so reserved. He didn't hype me up like Professor Birch or Elm or Oak did, just because they had more extroverted personalities. And so Professor Rowan reminded me of that teacher who's super quiet and super stern and makes you feel really awkward and scared in his class. So, I didn't like him. Ruby and Sapphire had 2 rivals, Professor Birch's kid, and then also Wally. And they were both pretty strong, and Barry, the rival in Gen 4, did not feel like a threat to me at all. He was such an airhead, so I didn't feel any tension from him. And Gen 4, what's this region called? Sinnoh? It's all caves. Like, the main method of transportation through the area, through the region, is going through caves. And caves are my least favorite mechanic in Pokemon games. I hate going 3 steps and then running into a Zubat, or a Woobat, or a Swoobat, or whatever bat is going to be this generation's Zubat. It's just annoying. Okay, sorry for the jump. I had to take care of something real quick. Um, but yeah, the dual typing in Gen 4, I really struggled with it. That was the first generation that had the two dual typing mechanic, and it was kind of introduced at the end of the game because when the Pokemon are young in their first stage, they only have one typing and they get their second typing later on in the evolution line. So I got to a certain point in that game and I couldn't figure out the dual typing, and it became unplayable for me. And then the other thing is, they started changing the way that attack types and typings worked with special and physical attacks, and the typing gets worked in there. And so like for instance, Shinx, his final evolution, Luxray, is an electric type with mostly physical based benefits to his stats, but the only physical electrical attack at that time was Thunderfang. So you learn Thunderfang, and that's pretty much it for Luxray. So that mechanic was really difficult, and I just never finished the game because of that. Also around that time, that was around middle school and high school, and Pokemon just wasn't cool anymore at that age. The other kids started maturing and getting into other things like sports and things like that. And I didn't want to be made fun of because I was still playing Pokemon. So I didn't want anybody to know that I was still playing it. And I can remember there was this time where my parents mentioned that I liked Pokemon in front of one of my friends, and I freaked out and I got mad and I told mom and dad that I didn't like Pokemon anymore. And I was so embarrassed, and I kind of wonder what they thought about the situation now, looking back on it. Like, they never mentioned it again, and they stopped buying me Pokemon gifts, but I still liked it, and I was really sad and disappointed, but that was my own fault. I wonder if they even remember that happening. Anyways, I did play through the Heart Gold remake. I thought the system where the Pokemon follow you around was really cute. But I don't think I finished playing through the Kanto portion of the game. I wasn't, at that point it was like going through Kanto for a third time in a third game, and I just wasn't interested. Which brings us to Gen 5, which is Black and White and Black 2 and White 2. But I don't think I finished that one either. I just had a really hard time enjoying Pokemon after Gen 4. And then I got married, and my husband saw how much I liked Pokemon, and he decided to try it out and get back into it. So now I actually have someone to talk about Pokemon, which is great. He's great, and I really appreciate the fact that he supports my hobbies like that. And then X and Y came out shortly after, and that was actually the game that got me to love Pokemon again. It has a great story. It had the Ami system. It had the roller skates and the character customization. It just really rekindled that magical feeling that I got from all the other Pokemon games, that made me fall in love with Pokemon in the first place. Sun and Moon, I was really wary of, because it got rid of the badge and the league system. But I like what they ended up choosing to do with the Island Challenge, because you do get to go through and it's like challenging a gym, but you get to do more gyms, which I really liked. I liked being able to do pretty much all of the different Pokemon typings. And I feel like that made the islands, which are technically a pretty small region, it made them feel a lot bigger to me, and I really liked that. And then Pokemon Go came out, which is fun. I don't play it so much now because I'm busy. And Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I didn't play at all because, I didn't want to go through Kanto a third time, so I definitely don't want to go through it a fourth time. It's just not worth it to me. I'll reconsider playing those games, but not until the price on them comes down to like $10 or $15, not $60 like they are now. It's just, no. And then finally, we are caught up to the present day with Sword and Shield versions. I have Shield version, and it doesn't have Furret or Mareep in it, so obviously it's the worst game in the series. But seriously, I was super worried that it was going to be a bad game because of all the news about the game leading up to the release. But I have to say, I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really good Pokemon game. The story was sufficient. The new Pokemon were engaging. They were pretty good character designs, outside of Galar Meowth. Like, not a fan of Galar Meowth. But I will say that I don't think it was a good Switch game. Nintendo has done a lot of cool things with, like the new Mario game, Mario Galaxy? Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey was really cool and really advanced graphically and gameplay-wise, as was Breath of the Wild, and Pokemon just didn't live up to that same standard for a Switch game, by comparison. Also, when you're playing the game, the Pokemon talk about, how they want to be pet, and there's no Ami system in this game. You can't pet them, even though the Switch has a touchscreen, which is it's just unacceptable. But there you have it, a lifetime of Pokemon. I have spent more time with Pokemon in my life than I have spent without it. And I kind of hope it continues. I'm looking forward to sharing Pokemon, with my kids someday, and it's a great series. And I look forward to seeing what the future brings. If you've made it this far through the video, thank you so much for watching. I apologize for all the ums and ohs that I had in my audio. I will try and get better about that in the next video. If you're interested in this art piece that I finished, Snuggling Furrets, it is available on my Etsy shop. I'll put a link down in the description below. If you are interested in following me on other social media platforms, you can find my social media links also down in the description below. And finally, don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button, so that way you can get more content from me and video makers like me. Thank you so much, and I will see you all next time.